The Taliban has taken over. Their fighters drive US-made Humvees laden with US-made weapons around the last US military installation in Afghanistan. They look and act like former Afghan government soldiers. The white flag, the only indication this is the Taliban. It has been 20 years since the Taliban controlled Kabul airport. Fighters entered the capital 2 weeks ago and quickly encircled it. The armed group had an agreement with the US that it would remain outside and secure the perimeter until evacuations came to an end. Now, with only 2 days to go, the US footprint is shrinking.
When did you get hold of this area?
In 2 hours.
2 hours ago?
Yes, we come here. 01 Force of Afghanistan is come in the American soldier.
So they've evacuated?
Yes.
Clutching the US-made M4 rifles they've commandeered, Taliban fighters watch as American troops move inside the perimeter, destroy equipment and bus in evacuees.
Behind that door is American soldiers?
That is door is American, and where is we Taliban.
And you are Taliban? And they are in this watchtower also?
That tower is also American soldier.
This is all?
No, they're over there too.
Okay.
Fighters count the number of C-17 aircraft departing from the end of the runway. The Taliban secured the commercial side of the airport almost 2 weeks ago, but only pushed into military areas on Friday night. Their version of special forces, known as the Badri 313 and Victoria Strike Force, are in charge of security.
We are not here to protect the Americans. We are here to prevent looting of this place and the military equipment. The promises we made in Doha, we are standing by them.
These Taliban officials are walking from the neighbouring Ministry of Interior, a compound they now control.
As the US evacuates, the Taliban is taking control of more areas inside the airport. They say they are very happy, but they wouldn't express that on camera because they say, I'm a woman and not dressed appropriately.
Instead, they discuss among themselves how to secure the area and survey the territory they now control.
We have been in war for 20 years, and we believed one day we would get Afghanistan back. These foreign forces who came to Afghanistan could not stop us from getting our country back.
Patiently, they wait for the last American plane to take off.
After 3 days, and with the permission of our commanders, we will push fully inside the airport.
After 20 years, thousands of people killed and billions of dollars spent, the US is leaving Afghanistan. These are the final hours of America's longest war. Charlotte Bellis, Al Jazeera, Kabul.
Well, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the Taliban has agreed to allow safe passage for Americans and others to leave Afghanistan after the Tuesday deadline. Rob Reynolds is standing by for us in Washington, D.C. with more on that. Rob, let's talk first of all about what the U.S. president has been doing today.
Well, about 30 minutes ago, Hazem, President Joe Biden, accompanied by the First Lady Jill Biden, arrived at Dover Air Force Base in the state of Delaware. He's there for a solemn ceremony to receive the remains of the 13 U.S. service members who were killed in the bomb attack last week at the gates of Kabul airport. Some of the family members of those soldiers who were killed will be there as well. The fallen service members ranged in age from 20 to just 31 years old. This will be, as I said, a solemn ceremony and one of the sort of traditional presidential duties that is performed when U.S. service members are killed in an incident abroad. Meanwhile, the U.S. is reiterating its warnings with the State Department, saying that the situation around the Kabul airport remains very tense, just as Charles Stratford was telling us a few moments ago, and that there are credible threats of violence. So they're telling American citizens, U.S. citizens, not to gather near Kabul airport. As far as the explosions that we heard about a moment ago, we're trying to get some more information about that on this end, and we'll give that to you whenever we have it available. The U.S. says that it is drawing down its diplomatic presence in Afghanistan, evacuating embassy personnel. As of the 1st of September, there will be no U.S. diplomatic presence in the country of Afghanistan.
And so, Rob, on this, these comments from the U.S. National Security Advisor that there would be some leeway on this August 31st deadline for evacuating.
Well, it's not clear exactly who the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, is talking about, but we do know that the U.S. will have to remove its personnel from the airport once it is finished with evacuation flights from that airport. So that may take some time past the August 31st deadline, actually getting the Marines and the soldiers and naval personnel who are performing their duties at the airport and maintaining air traffic control, all that sort of thing that keeps an airport running. They will be the last to leave. Another thing that Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, said earlier today was that in the view of U.S. intelligence, what he called irrelevant terrorist groups, quote unquote, do not possess the ability to plan advanced attacks outside of Afghanistan. So for people wondering exactly what the situation could be after the U.S. is fully gone from Afghanistan, speaking presumably of ISIL-K and of al-Qaeda, Sullivan says they do not possess the capabilities, at least at the moment, to plot long-range attacks against other targets, such as targets in the United States. And Sullivan added that the U.S. will continue to strike at ISIL-K, the perpetrators of the attack last Thursday, when and if they find them and are able to take them out. Hazem?
Rob, thanks for that. Rob Reynolds in Washington.